You're watching a classic episode of Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World Television.
When we first began recording Kevin Van Dam's fishing tactics way back in 1993, he was already well known for his expertise with a spinnerbait. This nice smallmouth is proof he knew what he was doing even way back then. Nice hat, Kevin. Fast forward over 10 years. With nearly $2 million in tournament wins and a Bassmasters Classic title, Kevin still loves to talk about spinnerbaits, and he's learned a lot since then.
That's a good one right there. Nice one, man. Perfect.
Now, no one would look at this conglomeration of metal and plastic and say, minnow. In fact, it looks more like a gaudy earring than a fish-catching bait. But this lure is all about reaction. In the water, the flashing blades look like the silver sides of a swimming minnow.
Oh, I see one right down the bank, come up shallow.
When opportunity knocks, bass react, and fast. The plastic skirt and lead head gives the fish a target to hone in on. Of course, that's where the hook is.
He just hammered it. Rarely do I ever catch a bass on a spinnerbait when I'm just reeling it straight in. I'm almost always doing something different with it. That's a pretty fish. Fluttering it, jerking it, ripping it, whether I'm fishing it shallow or deep. Always trying to make it flare or jump or bang into something to try to make the bass react to it. It's terrible conditions right now to fish a spinnerbait. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's bright. There's no wind. But if you got stained water, which I've got, maybe a foot or so of visibility here, I can still catch them real good on a spinnerbait. But you have to make them react to it. They don't want to just bite. I mean, you have to do something special with the bait. You got to give them a reason to think that it's going to be an easy meal or something they can catch. Just make them mad, make them react to it. So a quick rip or a flutter or a quick jerk, that's kind of the key. So right when I get to the target, boom, you just bang it off that cover and let it flutter for a split second. But you never let it flutter on a slack line. A spinnerbait is a bait you gotta keep it tight all the time. I just want to give it that quick little jerk and then just a little pause right next to it, and then that's all you need.
Water clarity is the key to selecting color and blade style on spinnerbaits. Find the right combination, and the bass can't turn it down, even on bluebird days. While Kevin may change what he throws for a given condition, there is one thing he adds to every spinnerbait.
Awesome.
It often makes the difference between a hit or a miss.
One of the things that's really important for me with a spinnerbait is to have a trailer hook on there. Especially when you're trying to make these bass react when they don't want to strike. You're going to catch a lot of them on that trailer hook. I catch at least a quarter of all my tournament bass on that little stinger hook. And it's really important to get it on there properly. You want to put the hook on first and then put your little keeper on after the fact. And the reason for that is that way your trailer hook is free to move. When you're ripping that spinnerbait up and letting it flutter down, that trailer hook is always going to be hanging right there in the back. Doesn't matter if it's falling, if it's coming up, and it's right there where it needs to be. The thing I really like about this little mustad hook right here is that it's short, so it doesn't hang up near as much as the big long ones. This is the best trailer hook on the market right there. It's got a needle point to it. It's just long enough to stay in the back of that skirt when it's all the way there. If a bass comes up and gets skirt, he's going to get that trailer hook. He hit it when I flared it, and he came about 5 foot to me. I could not hardly ever even catch up to him. Oh, another nice one too. I got him with both hooks, that trailer hook, and then the main beauty.
One of the keys to fishing a spinnerbait around cover is to know where the bass are holding and to keep the bait in the strike zone for the maximum amount of time.
Spinnerbaits, it's all about what you do with it when you get it next to that cover. There's a chunker there. I thought it was a shad. A bleeding shad. Pretty fish.
There are several types of blades on spinnerbaits, each designed to create a different level of flash or adjust drag through the water.
Right on the hop.
Kevin uses them all to his advantage.
Yes. I ripped that spinnerbait up, and he knocked it. I always like to use a Colorado willow or a single willow to rip and flutter in a spinnerbait. So a lot of times what I'll do is just cut this front blade completely off and just use it as a single spin. And it just helicopters a little bit better, and it doesn't provide the lift. You know, you don't get the lift with a single blade as you do with two. So if I want it to get a little deeper, I'm gonna use it as a single spin, or if I'm dropping it off a deeper ledge or a point or something like that. But if I'm flaring it by a shallower cover, say up to 6-8 foot, that extra blade on there, it makes a little extra noise when it bounces into cover and things like that. So I'm going to leave it on there. But good. Oh, God.
The right kind of tackle is also important.
They're on this point.
A wispy rod and a slow retrieve reel have no place in Kevin's boat today.
Today I'm using my favorite spinnerbait rod for fishing the spinnerbait this way, and it's a 6.5 foot medium heavy action. It's got a good tip, which gives me good casting accuracy. But the way I'm fishing today, it's really not that important. But I've got a lot of leverage to be able to rip that rod like that. And the most important thing to me is the reel that I've got. I'm using a high-speed reel, even though that I'm fishing it real slow. The trailer hook saved the day there. That's really important to do that, because with that real slow speed on the reel, slow turn of the handle, even though it's a high-speed reel, I can really feel everything that spinnerbait is doing. And you can tell, when you're in the grass or when you're hitting the bottom or you bump anything, if a bass comes up and nudges it, you can just feel a lot better with a high-speed reel, turning it real slow like that. And then I've got heavy line, too. I'm using 20-pound Bass Pro XPS mono, and it is a must. Even in clear water, I'll use that green, but I'm going to use that heavy line because you just need it on those long casts, because there's you got a little stretch and stuff out there, and you just really need it to get that hook into these fish real well.
A good variety of spinnerbaits should be available to any serious angler. And some of the techniques you've seen today will help you make the most of this very effective lure. After all, they work pretty well for Kevin Van Dam.